Why does the entire Korean underworld fear a crippled man? This scene will tell you why. During a brutal clash between Korean and Japanese gangs, a Japanese enforcer nearly wiped out the entire Korean side. But just then, the most feared fighter in Korea appeared. From that day on, whenever the gang faced a battle they couldn't win, they would call on him to fight. Over the next decade, his record remained perfect 100% victory. Even the two bosses who now rule Seoul's underworld owe their power to him. 11 years ago, those two men were just captains under a powerful boss named Chairman Oh. When their organization went to war with the infamous Busan gang, Chairman Oh sent them to lead the charge. But the enemy's force was overwhelming, and they were quickly pushed to the brink of annihilation. Just when all seemed lost, the strongest man in this story, Nam Gi-jun, arrived. He single-handedly tore through the entire Busan gang, turning the tide in an instant. From that day, Lee Ju-woon and Gu Bongsan rose in rank, and rumors spread that Chairman Oh planned to hand the organization over to them, something that infuriated his son, Oh Sunhwa. Driven by jealousy, Oh Sunhwa sent assassins after the two men, but the attempt failed, and the killers exposed who had ordered the hit. Nam Gi-jun's younger brother, Nam Gi-suk, overheard everything. To climb higher in the ranks, Nam Gi-suk stormed into Oh Sunhwa's hideout and, without a moment's hesitation, stabbed him to death. When Chairman Oh learned of his son's death, he immediately blamed Lee Ju-woon and Gu Bongsan. The two were captured and brought before him, completely unaware of what they were accused of. To save his brother from the consequences, Nam Gi-jun fought his way through Chairman Oh's mansion, killing every guard in his path until he reached the main hall.
기준아, 네가 죽인 거 아니지?
그게 중요합니까?
In front of Chairman Oh's shocked eyes, Nam Gi-jun rescued Lee Ju-woon and Gu Bongsan from certain death.
딱 하루였습니다. 우회장이 무너지는데 걸린 시간.
After that day, Lee and Gu seized control of the organization, splitting Chairman Oh's empire in two. To keep the fragile peace, they made a rule: anyone who caused trouble must pay an equal price. And Nam Gi-jun became the first victim of that rule, the man who helped them gain everything, yet also brought endless chaos. To settle the score, they cut his Achilles tendon, ensuring he would never fight again, and forced him to disappear from their world. As compensation, Lee Ju-woon promoted Nam Gi-suk to the number 2 position in the group, promising Nam Gi-jun that his brother would remain safe. For 11 long years, Nam Gi-jun vanished from the underworld, until one day he received the devastating news that his brother had been killed. The outside world said a gang of petty thugs murdered him for money. The evidence seemed solid, and even Lee Ju-woon and Gu Bongsan believed it. But Nam Gi-jun knew better. With his brother's skills, there was no way a few street punks could have taken him down, not even with superior numbers. So, after 11 years in hiding, Nam Gi-jun returned. He went straight to the 2 underworld kings and demanded to know why they broke their promise.
기준아, 기석이 일. 제가 더 알아야 할 건 없습니까? 그렇게 알겠습니다.
Then he headed to the police station, using his connections to meet the thugs who ambushed his brother. No matter how he questioned them, they refused to reveal who was behind it, even when he threatened to go after their parents.
그냥 죽여버려. 그 새끼도 어렸을 때 나랑 내 동생 버리고 튀었거든. 그니까 꼭 찾아서 죽여.
그러니까 동생이 있다는 거네.
Later, Nam Gi-jun followed one of the thugs' brothers to an internet cafe. The moment he entered, dozens of gangsters armed with bats surrounded him. They had been tipped off by contacts in prison that Nam Gi-jun was coming, so they had set up an ambush in advance. Their leader arrogantly confessed that they were the ones who attacked Nam Gi-suk.
너도 죽여줄까? 말해보래도.
But none of them realized who they were dealing with. The moment Nam Gi-jun unleashed his fury, the room turned into chaos. In less than a minute, the once cocky thugs were on their knees, trembling in fear, yet their leader still couldn't escape his fate. And so, Nam Gi-jun finally captured the killer's younger brother. When he returned to the prison with his brother's recorded confession, the man had no choice but to spill everything. It turned out they had accepted the hit through a platform called the Chamber, which operated on the dark web. They were just hired hands completing a job for money, with no idea who had posted the contract. However, whenever a high-paying job appeared, the Chamber would usually assign a lawyer to the hitmen to make sure they didn't betray the client at the last moment. When Nam Gi-jun found this lawyer, the man claimed he had no authority to know who the client was, and handed over the business card of the Chamber's company director. Nam Gi-jun then went straight to the Chamber headquarters, demanding that the boss come out to welcome his guest.
얼른 이 새끼 꺼내서 치우라고.
Meanwhile, the boss received a phone call from the office, but the voice on the other end was none other than Nam Gi-jun.
왜 전화했는지 알지? 기다린다.
아니 내가 왜 제일 중요한 인간을 미처 생각 못했지? 응? 아 치.
When he rushed back, he found the building filled with injured employees, and immediately dropped to his knees before Nam Gi-jun. A loud crash echoed from the office, followed by the man confessing the identity of the person who had ordered the hit.
구주모 후봉산 회장 아들 그 인간이 의뢰했다.
Armed with that information, Nam Gi-jun stormed into a secret meeting between the two gang leaders, forcing Gu Bongsan to punish his own son according to the gang's rules.
넌 이 바닥 떠난 사람이잖아. 규칙이가 뭐가 너랑은 상관없는 일이야.
But Gu Bongsan's meaning was clear. He would rather break the rules than sacrifice his child. After confirming that neither of the bosses was behind his brother's murder, Nam Gi-jun walked out of the room as if nothing had happened, to keep his son alive. Gu Bongsan immediately ordered his men to take the boy to a remote safe house and surrounded it with heavy guards. For Gi-jun, a spoiled playboy used to living in luxury, the place felt like a living hell. Desperate to escape, he contacted two foreign assassins, instructing them to kill Nam Gi-jun at any cost. Then he called one of his father's lieutenants, Kim Chun-suk, and threatened him with his daughter's safety, forcing him to lure Nam Gi-jun into the assassin's trap. Soon after, Kim Chun-suk met with Nam Gi-jun. Pretending to have a guilty conscience, he handed over a note, claiming it contained Gi-jun's hideout location. But the moment Nam Gi-jun stepped inside the address on the note, two foreign killers burst out from the shadows, wielding machetes. They swung wildly in the narrow space, every strike meant to kill, but their chaotic attacks lacked precision, and not a single blade could touch Nam Gi-jun. In an instant, he turned the tables. Within moments, the two mercenaries who valued money over life lay dead on the floor. Meanwhile, Gi-jun received a phone call from Nam Gi-jun himself.
Did you finish the job?
기다려. 꼭 할 테니까.
That's when panic finally set in. He realized that the only way he could ever be truly safe was if Nam Gi-jun were dead. Moments later, two towering men arrived at the safe house, effortlessly taking down the guards outside. One of them was Young In-suk, an Asian martial arts champion hired by Gi-jun for a staggering $2 billion to take out Nam Gi-jun. It was clear now just how terrified he truly was. After that, the three of them went after Nam Gi-jun's close friend. Driven by hatred toward Nam Gi-jun, Gi-jun swung his club a few times and beat Nam Gi-jun's friend to death. Hearing the commotion, Kim Chun-suk rushed in to stop him. In a panic, he threw Gi-jun to the ground, but was immediately struck several times in return, his fate uncertain. Then Gi-jun called Nam Gi-jun, describing in detail how his friend had died, and told him he would be waiting at the safe house. To ensure the ambush went perfectly, He spent a fortune hiring 100 martial arts experts. Before long, Nam Gi-jun arrived at the safe house. Seeing the parking lot packed with cars, he immediately knew his enemies were well prepared. As soon as he stepped through the gate, he saw the narrow hallway crowded with men. Without hesitation, Nam Gi-jun made the first move. Each swing of his baseball bat sent someone crashing to the ground, and in moments, he alone had forced dozens to retreat in fear. Then, a burly man with more strength than sense appeared. Grabbing Nam Gi-jun by the throat, he lifted him high into the air, completely ignoring the axe slashing into his body, and ultimately, he died by his own stubbornness. Seeing this, the remaining fighters lost their nerve and fled. Watching his plan collapse, Gi-jun began to panic, already regretting ever revealing his location. Sensing his fear, Young In-suk quickly raised his price from 2 billion to 4 billion, desperate to survive. Gi-jun had no choice but to agree. Moments later, Nam Gi-jun entered the inner room, covered in blood. His terrifying presence made Gi-jun instinctively step back. By now, Nam Gi-jun was exhausted, no match for Young In-suk. He could only endure blow after blow, giving Gi-jun new hope. Feeling triumphant, he started taunting Nam Gi-jun again.
네 동생 남기서? 맞아, 내가 죽였어.
But in the end, even the mighty champion Young In-suk fell. Nam Gi-jun turned toward Gi-jun, who moments ago had been mocking him, his look saying, "Why so quiet now?" What followed was the most ridiculous moment of all. Gi-jun, holding a gun and standing just a few meters away, fired and missed completely, hitting nothing but air. At that same moment, Gu Bongsan received evidence proving his son wasn't responsible for Nam Gi-suk's death. He immediately called his son, but the voice that answered was Nam Gi-jun's. He understood at once it was too late. Yet as a father, he couldn't let his son's killer go unpunished. Just when everyone thought Nam Gi-jun had died, he was rescued by his late brother's driver. At the same time, the two major underworld factions, the Bongsan Group and the Choi Ju-won Syndicate, went to war. Within half a day, the Bongsan Group was crushed. The reason? Lee Ju-won's son, Lee Ji-um's, a prosecutor who used his authority to arrest half of Bongsan's men before the fighting even began. In the end, even Gu Bongsan himself was killed by Lee Ju-won. Believing all his troubles were finally over, Lee Ju-won was stunned when his phone rang. It was Nam Gi-jun. He wasn't surprised that Nam Gi-jun had survived. With a man like that, killing him was never easy. From Lee Ju-won's words, Nam Gi-jun learned a shocking truth hidden for over a decade. A police officer named Cha Young-do had been pulling the strings all along from the day Nam Gi-jun destroyed Chairman Oh to elevate Lee Ju-won and Gu Bongsan. To the murder of his brother Nam Gi-suk, everything had been orchestrated by him.
어디로 가면 됩니까? 그 인간 만나려면.
그놈은 내가 끌어내주마.
That night, Lee Ju-won called Cha Young-do and asked to meet in person, but before the officer could even leave the station, he saw a familiar figure walking toward him, Nam Gi-jun. For the first time, fear crept into Cha Young-do's eyes. Nam Gi-jun slammed him against his car door, ready to strike, but before he could, a dark shadow came rushing in and knocked him to the ground. When he looked closely, he realized the man standing before him was none other than Lee Tae-hwan, the bodyguard he had fought against 11 years ago. Without a word, the two men began to fight, but after only a few moves, Lee Tae-hwan suddenly stopped, claiming he had something else to take care of, and walked away. The next day, as Lee Ji-woon was heading to a board meeting, his son, Lee Ji-sun, blocked his path. He told his father that from now on, he would be taking control of the Ji-woon group himself. Then, he pulled out a court-issued seizure order revealing that he had secretly joined forces with Cha Young-do to overthrow his own father and seize power.
야, 이 새끼야, 이 바닥은 이 자리는 매일마다 악몽을 꾸는 자리야. 내가 모든 거는 너를 위해서 한 일이야. 너만큼은 나처럼 살지 말라고, 이 새끼야.
그건 아버지 생각이지. 저 항상 아버지처럼 되고 싶었어요. 아버지 자리 앉고 싶었고.
Even Lee Ji-woon's most trusted lieutenant, Choi Sung-cheol, had already switched allegiance to his son, and just like that, the man who had ruled the underworld his entire life was stripped of everything by his own child. Through ruthless tactics, Lee Ji-sun gained full control of the board and the entire syndicate. Meanwhile, Nam Gi-jun was still tracking down Cha Young-do. When he followed his target's car to an underground parking lot, he discovered that the man stepping out was Lee Tae-hwan. Clearly, the other side already knew his every move. 11 years ago, Nam Gi-jun had spared Lee Tae-hwan's life out of respect, cutting off only one of his hands. But for Lee Tae-hwan, that act of mercy was the ultimate humiliation. He pulled out a dagger and tossed one to Nam Gi-jun, then drew another for himself. The message was clear: this would be a fair fight, man to man, to decide both skill and fate. Even when Nam Gi-jun's blade slipped from his hand, Lee Tae-hwan paused, allowing him to pick it up before continuing. But was Nam Gi-jun really no match for him? After just a few exchanges, Lee Tae-hwan was stabbed several times. When he lost his strength, Nam Gi-jun hesitated, unwilling to kill him, but Lee Tae-hwan, seeking death, grabbed Nam Gi-jun's hand and drove the blade deep into his own abdomen.
기준아, 이 바닥은 전부 다 죽어야 하겠나?
알아.
At that moment, Cha Young-do had already gone to confront Lee Ji-woon. Lee Ji-sun had already taken full control of the Ji-woon group. Lee Ji-woon was no longer of any use, and he held far too much incriminating evidence against Cha Young-do. It was clear tonight, Lee Ji-woon had to die. But just as Cha Young-do was about to make his move, Lee Ji-woon suddenly drew his own gun. The arrogant cop instantly panicked, begging for his life. In the struggle that followed, Cha Young-do managed to grab the gun first. With a single gunshot, Lee Ji-woon's brilliant life came to a complete end. Moments later, Nam Gi-jun entered the room, only to find Lee Ji-woon already lying dead. A swarm of police officers rushed in behind him, tackling Nam Gi-jun to the ground and forcing the gun into his hands.
당신을 이준 회장 살해 혐의로 긴급 체포합니다. 당신이 하는 모든 말은 법정에서 불리하게 적용될 수 있으며 당신은 변호사를 선임할 수 있고
묵비권을 행사할 수 있습니다.
From Cha Young-do's own words, Nam Gi-jun finally learned the entire truth. 11 years ago, Cha Young-do had deceived his brother, Nam Gi-suk, into believing that Chairman Oh's son was plotting against Nam Gi-jun. To protect his brother, Nam Gi-suk stabbed Oh Sunwa to death. Afterward, Nam Gi-jun had no choice but to destroy Chairman Oh's entire organization, paving the way for Lee Ji-woon and Gu Bong-san to divide the underworld between them. Later, they set another trap, killing Nam Gi-suk and framing Gu Junimo to lure Nam Gi-jun out of hiding and force him to eliminate the Bong-san group. Once that was done, Lee Ji-sun would seize full control of the Ji-woon group and rule the underworld alone. The idea to eliminate Nam Gi-suk had come directly from Lee Ji-sun himself. While everyone saw him as an obedient, mild-mannered son, his ambition had already grown far beyond control. But what Lee Ji-sun didn't know was that every word of his conversation with Cha Young-do had been secretly recorded. On the way to escort Nam Gi-jun to prison, the police vehicle suddenly changed its route. As they drove into a tunnel, several men waiting by the roadside blocked both ends clearly. This was an ambush to eliminate Nam Gi-jun. The driver was shot in the head, and the car flipped violently. By sheer luck, Nam Gi-jun survived, though the armed officer also lived through the crash. Just then, a black Mercedes entered the tunnel. The man who stepped out was Sim Sun-won, the boss of the chamber. He had been sent by Cha Young-do to finish the job. Yet instead, he chose to save Nam Gi-jun. When Sim Sun-won's man reported back that Nam Gi-jun was dead, Cha Young-do breathed a sigh of relief, thinking it was finally over, but he celebrated too soon. Now that Lee Ji-sun had risen to power, he began cleaning house. Using his position as a prosecutor, he raided and seized Cha Young-do's office, intending to uncover all the blackmail evidence tied to the Ji-won group. Enraged, Cha Young-do decided to eliminate Lee Ji-sun. He called his personal hitman, but the man was already sitting in Lee Ji-sun's car. It turned out the killer had betrayed Cha Young-do and switched sides, knowing that Lee Ji-sun could help erase his criminal past.
왜 그거를 해주지? 죽여줄 사람들이 있습니다. 김길록 씨가.
Even gravely injured and missing one leg, Nam Gi-jun still fought the assassin head-on, going blow for blow against a top-tier professional. During a short break, the killer, Kim Se-in, confessed to how he had murdered Nam Gi-suk. At last, Nam Gi-jun learned the truth about his brother's death and the real culprit behind it all. Though his body was covered in deep wounds from days of non-stop fighting, he refused to give up. Revenge for his brother was the only thing keeping him alive. Ignoring the pain in his hands, Nam Gi-jun grabbed the assassin by the wrist and unleashed a furious barrage of punches, as if returning every ounce of his brother's suffering. Finally, he drove a blade deep into the killer's neck the same way his brother had been killed. After killing the assassin, Nam Gi-jun went straight to Cha Young-do's hideout, but Cha Young-do had already spotted him through security cameras. When Nam Gi-jun kicked open the door, Cha Young-do didn't hesitate, he fired immediately. Then, in true villain talks too much fashion, he started to gloat. With Lee Ji-won dead and Lee Ji-sun now turning against him, Cha Young-do begged Nam Gi-jun to kill Lee Ji-sun and take his place as the new ruler of Seoul's underworld. But Nam Gi-jun was never interested in power. If he had wanted to rule the underworld, he could have done it 11 years ago. Hearing that, Cha Young-do raised his gun again. He knew the man before him was right. This day could only end in blood. Later, he attended Lee Ji-sun's father's funeral. Seeing Nam Gi-jun there, Lee Ji-sun realized that his hired assassin, Kaneyama, had failed. Calmly, he admitted everything and warned Nam Gi-jun that he wouldn't live long.
그때까지 죽지 말고 잘 모셔.
After leaving, Nam Gi-jun met his late brother's driver and handed him a USB drive containing all the evidence of Lee Ji-sun's crimes. Meanwhile, Lee Ji-sun had begun executing his grand plan for power, now wielding influence as both Seoul's top prosecutor and the de facto ruler of the underworld. He stood at the peak of authority. He hosted a lavish banquet for the city's elite, declaring openly that he wanted to create a new system, one where corruption would no longer be illegal, and every dirty profit would be justified under the law. As the highest-ranking official in attendance began to clap, the rest followed suit, raising their glasses in approval. But amid the celebration, one prosecutor received a text message. Seconds later, everyone's phones buzzed at once. In the next moment, all the officials hurriedly left the room. When Lee Ji-sun checked his phone, he saw breaking news broadcasting evidence of his crimes. The recording of his conversation with Cha Young-do was being played publicly for all to hear. Panic set in his lips trembled uncontrollably. Just then, one of his colleagues mocked him, and Lee Ji-sun, in blind rage, killed the man on the spot. Meanwhile, Nam Gi-jun arrived at the hotel. Despite his gunshot and stab wounds, the guards fell one after another. None of them were his match. Choi Sung-cheol dismissed the rest of the useless men, begging Nam Gi-jun to stop and spare Lee Ji-sun. But how could he forgive the man who killed his brother? Seeing there was no turning back, Choi Sung-cheol offered to lead him the rest of the way. Yet along the path, he suddenly turned and stabbed Nam Gi-jun in the side. He knew he couldn't win, but he still fought, perhaps proving Lee Tae-won's words true. Only when everyone in this bloody world is gone will it finally end. When Nam Gi-jun reached Lee Ji-sun, the man was sitting in his father's chair, holding the same gun that had killed him. For the first time, Lee Ji-sun felt how empty all of it was. As Nam Gi-jun bent down to pick up a knife, Lee Ji-sun raised his gun.
그렇게 죽을 적이 없어.
Nam Gi-jun drove the blade into his throat, slowly twisting it before pulling it out with a brutal motion. Thus ended Lee Ji-sun's life of corruption and greed. He died sitting in the very chair where his father had perished, a haunting symbol of the endless cycle of power and downfall. After it was all over, Nam Gi-jun returned to his cabin deep in the mountains, where he watched the old footage of his brother one last time.
괜찮으니까 다 그만두고 와. 나랑 같이 캠핑장이나 하자.
뭐야, 웬일이야.
The next morning, as snow quietly fell across the forest, Nam Gi-jun finally found peace and went to his eternal rest.